a lawyer and I do corporate negotiations at a very high level, and Emily intimidates me.
It's good talk, man. I don't get petty with people on the internet. I will get petty with TMZ. And Harvey Levin was friends with some of the judges I would appear on when there were cases going on. I'm like, how does TMZ know? Oh, which directly.
Yeah. Is there a thing?
Great.
I'm not familiar with this area of the world. I'm an entertainment lawyer, but I didn't deal with that. Is it like common, let's say, if TMZ got it and leaked it, whatever it is, and then Amber's TMZ screaming a bloody mess, would TMZ just be like, let us buy it. Here's a couple, here's whatever, leave us alone. Like, does that
or just license it? I mean, it could.
Yeah.
How did they get it off of her cell phone?
Yeah, I mean, there is certainly the thing where she gave it. That is a possibility, absolutely. But I'm wondering if there's also this post hoc of like, theoretically, they could have the copyrights to it, even if they also did leak it. Maybe, I don't know.
But then they still bought it.
Right. Oh yeah, no, it's still bad.
I mean, unless the differentiation is between licensing it and purchasing it, and in that case, show me the licensing agreement. I'd love to see it, but then you're not selling the copyright because she would still hold the copyright. So why are you copyrighting it? Just license. Because it's not mutual. It's not exclusive use. So I've got so many questions about it. But also, if her phone was hacked, where this was leaked, wouldn't there have been a bunch of other stuff leaked from her phone? Like all of these other recordings, she recorded so much. And I don't doubt for a second there are other types of photos that might be enticing and fetch a high price if you get into her phone. So why just this video? Why?
Select it, Pat. Let's select
the
the amnesia. Oh man. Let me get some more super chats here. Alexis Baranauskas. That's my name. I like it. I don't know this person, but I know their last name. Says Elaine keeps yawning, making Herd's team look worse.
We were all yawning.
Yeah, but it's your own team though. It's pretty bad.
Alita, did you all get fascinated by the reporter from Court TV in the green dress during stream? Like they kept panning to her, and I couldn't. My whole stream, like all 11,000 of us, started simping at once. It was ridiculous.
She looked good. We didn't comment on her, but she did look good.
We couldn't stop talking about the cross was so boring. We were looking at what everyone in the audience was doing because there was nothing else to do. And then
which is a sign of what the jury was doing too.
They were also distracted by the Court TV reporter in the green dress. I went to Twitter today. She follows me on Twitter, and now I'm embarrassed about how much we simped on stream. It was a moment.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Nicole Paulus says, how did Amber Heard get his law degree? Holy crap, this is both painful and, how did her attorney, I think, get his law degree? Holy crap, this is both painful and hilarious at the same time. I mean, I think that he just, like we said before, he was just having a bad day and things were not quite panning out the way that
as much as like criminal attorneys because it's so expensive to go to court. And he was asking questions like a deposition. That's how it felt to me. And then he was really surprised that after the objection, you don't get to just get the answer anyway.
Yeah, right.
That's a really good point, actually. I didn't think about that because, as a civil litigator, you get plenty of deposition experience. You get plenty of time doing depositions, doing regular discovery, doing, motion practice, appearing in front of a judge for a hearing for motions and those kinds of arguments, but not necessarily for trial. That's a really good point. I hadn't made that connection, but and now that you mention it, it does sound like he was treating that like a deposition, which he has a lot of experience in.
And for the audience in a deposition, when you make an objection, normally they make the objection, you mark it for the record, and then the answer comes in afterwards anyway, and then if it needs to be fought over later in court, you fight over it later in court. He couldn't reset on his feet, which again, I did a very few depositions and they left scars, and I did quite a lot of criminal trials. So the thinking on your feet is what you're more used to versus the deposition where I'm like, no, I should win that objection. Why are you still talking?
Yeah.
I hate this process. This is awful.
Yeah.
It just felt bad because it's like, just guys, stop. If you're gonna say "and," stop yourself.
Yes. Remove the word "and" from your cross-examination entirely. Just excise it entirely.
Little legal bites of questions.
Exactly. Kimberly Babcock says, are these the same lawyers that were used in the UK, or is this a firm licensed to only practice law in Virginia. I think it's different, because those were UK lawyers that are going to be at trial.
I gotta believe they're qualified in Virginia. They're not natives, right?
There are.
여보세요.
Yes.
Yep.
Elaine Bredehoff is actually a Virginia attorney.
Okay.
I don't know about Rottenborn. And
Rottenborn
so
is.
he
I
is,
didn't
okay.
know that.
I
I
think-
never knew that.
Yeah, I think Ben Chu also possibly is, but I would need to confirm, but both firms are firms that exist inside.
Sure that they're owned by the same conglomerate, which would make it surprising that the Post is.
It was very interesting to me how anti-Johnny Depp the Post was, because the article went completely against everything I've seen across social media, and I wasn't really looking for pro Johnny Depp or anti-Johnny Depp stuff one way or the other. It's just what I'm seeing based on all of the input. But then all this stuff happened on Twitter yesterday with the Milani Cosmetics and
The Post does a really good job. The Post, even pre-social media, like we're talking the 70s, done a very good job of getting read. You know, like they're and so like in the social media age, they've adapted well to just like, well, if we just stake out a claim that no one else is claiming, and we just narrow it, we'll be the one people to go to. You know, like, and so it doesn't surprise me that they're just being.
It's gonna be the contrarian. Someone has to.
It's like Kyle Smith, the film critic for them. He's been there for 20 years, and he just he's never agreed with anyone else on anything ever, except for other New York Post critics. It's kind of funny.
That's funny. That is funny. Apple Pip says, I'm sure Amber has deliberately looked upset in the last 2 days trying for sympathy. Could be.
You let the emotions flow as best you can.
Yeah. Phelan Jones says, looks like Heard paid for Rottenborn's counsel with what was left of that quote-unquote donated charity money, and it shows SMH. I mean, I don't know. That's a lot of money that's being paid to these lawyers.
I mean, we're
She's
looking at
okay,
the Cardi B case. Cardi B spent over $1 million, and there's been substantially less litigation than that. So
Oh my God, yes.
in the multi millions of dollars for these legal cases. And I don't think that if they're giving Amber Heard a discount because of how much publicity they're going to get, I don't think they're going to get the return on investment they think they were going to get.
The value might be somewhat different. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Diana Ristiniti says, can Amber have any legal action taken against her for being an abuser while claiming to be a victim? No, I mean it's gonna be the outcome of this case. Basically, that is the outcome. Barry Dvorak says, appropriate to the pirate theme, this is a blunderbuss style cross-examination of death. No way the jury follows the hours of random nothing burgers.
It's a good word. I said it was
It is.
Homer Simpson's makeup shotgun, which I didn't know would come up again in the next day. But that's what it felt like in real time.
It did. AI McGrath, or Al McGrath, I think I've pronounced that word, or that name incorrectly multiple times already. Al McGrath says, what happened to Rottenborn? He started in the very effective linear way of questioning. Why did he decide to go with this after the early recess? I mean, it could have been things not going according to plan. It could have been just that he got tired or frustrated or something. I don't know. There are multiple reasons why that would happen, whether it was planned or not.
I think their strategy was to hit alcohol and drugs hard for a long time. I don't know whether that was smart. In fact, I think it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't think it was smart at all because it's.
Is that cross-examiner introduced a sext change into the evidentiary record.
And it
That's
would
what
not
I've been doing.
Yeah,
I
shouldn't narrow that down. I mean, I think everybody was like, oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
sexy time.
completely agree, and I think one of the other issues, maybe if you're kind of looking at this from a thousand meter kind of view, up above, is that going into this trial also, when they introduced their exhibit lists and their witness lists, Amber Heard's side had way more that they admitted, or that they were offering for admission, for both the witnesses and for the evidence. And Johnny Depp's side looked much more pared down. And I remember, thinking that's a lot of work for Johnny Depp's side to have to parse through, to figure out objections, to figure out, like, they are really throwing a lot at them to, like, take them off kilter. And that's a potential disadvantage for him, that they are throwing that much at them at this late hour. But now I'm almost thinking that it has become almost a self-own, because they are also swimming in all of that evidence that they have decided to include in their universe, that for them, there's just so much that they've lost the ability to pick out the winners from that to introduce to the jury. So now the jury is swimming in all of their stuff, and it's all swimming together.
It's a mess, but I'm wondering if this is partly client driven, that Amber Heard's like, fine, you wanted cameras in the courtroom, here's all of it, because the audio of the vomiting was completely irrelevant, made no sense, had no context, had no date. It's only there to embarrass. And I wonder if that also feeds into Depp's theory of the case, that she set up these moments to manipulate him or blackmail him or harass him or further abuse him. And I think they're playing into Depp's theory of the case by acting like this in court and bringing in the moaning on the plane. What they seemed to say that was from that Boston flight, but many have said that date of that video, which they didn't talk about, is from detoxing. So now they're almost trying to be disingenuous with the evidence too, and I don't think that's going to work. Juries don't like to be tricked.
Right. I mean, based on their questions, sitting here again, we know we didn't get a date up front. We know Johnny asked about it.
Yeah.
And then the questions are strongly suggestive of it being on the plane. Like, he starts up being like, that plane tape. And like, okay, so that's on the plane. That's what I put in my head. And then Lita, and now you are saying there's fighting about whether that's even that month. And so
year.
So they'll probably get to that on redirect. But yes, if they get to that and say it's not that plane at all, I would feel personally like affronted by what just happened in that question. So absolutely.
You tried to trick me into thinking, because in opening statements they said he was on the back of the plane, moaning and whatever. He's got one hand, but
the other one is holding up peace sign.
What's the relevance other than to embarrass or harass him in court?
Yeah, well, I mean, and you start to get that in your head. I think you're exactly right. And so, yeah, I mean, if that's not on that plane, because I read it based on what they had presented as being a plane tape, and if they can show that it wasn't, I'll be pissed.
Yep.
Personally, I'm not. I don't have any effect on the court.
On some level, I don't even care really where it's from, because it's just a guy. It's a tape of a guy puking. It could be anything. What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Not the puking. Puking is entirely gratuitous. The moaning, I thought, was potentially useful for a line of questioning that says you have no idea what happened on that plane. It sounds gone.
Yes.
Yes.
But if that's not the same date, then you're lying to me.
Correct.
Yes.
And if you're lying to me about this,
What else?
Liar.
What else are you lying about?
That ice cream, his explanation of the ice cream is she staged this. And that goes along with, like, she started yelling when I was 20 feet away from her in her phone, and, like, the rest of the stuff that leans that direction. So, I mean, I still, I'm still waiting on Amber Heard's
and the tampon applicator with the Pinterest picture of the cocaine, and her license being there, and the mug that she's using to block the video of him slamming the cabinets, and her sneaking in and starting to record and blocking with the mug. I think they let all of that in, because they could have objected to that video. There's no way that was surreptitiously recorded. There's no way they're able to lay the proper foundation to bring that video in, but it makes her look terrible. Okay, so he's drunk and he's angry. So, he's drunk and he's angry. He's assaulting the cabinets. She is surreptitiously recording and trying to hide it. I think it feeds into their theme of the case.
Well, and I said elsewhere on this streaming yesterday, I think the video is somewhat effective in saying he can look scary in instances, and I can imagine myself in that way. But you're exactly right that it goes with the narrative that they have set up, which is he destroys things, not people, things.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Why are we recording and not leaving again? And why are we gifting him a giant Bowie knife? If we're afraid of him, why are we gifting him a giant?
Edward, do you?
Yeah.
Since you might
With
know
the
the dates
inscription "Till Death," XX Slim.
Since you know the dates better, do you happen to know whether that gifting of the giant engraved knife is after that proposed date for that big wedding tape we got at the end?
I don't know because I don't know when the cutting tape was because they
I don't think they said.
here at all when that was. But
Okay.
But it was after the Australia incident. I do know that. It was December.
I'm gonna buy you all
somewhere
Bowie
December
knives
2000.
engraved that says Law 244.
Better than till death.
where Kita hated Law 2. I love that Law 2 was now memorialized by Business Insider, so we actually did make Law 2 happen.
Oh my god, did they put that into your article?
It's
It was his headline. That was actually what. I wonder if Amber is doing the Joey Tribbiani soap opera acting class technique of reaching into her pocket and pulling out hair. Oh no.
Friends references are flying.
I love it.
She was
I love
trying
it.
to roll out a tear.
You think
This
Looks
is-
like it.
Got Alanis Morissette, Friends references, tell the age bracket, we're all in here.
Love it. I love
Hey,
it.
we
I'm
could
here
have
for
a
it.
battle angel.
We did get that too. Yeah. Juanita's creative corner, it said if he is doing the knife around the finger trick. I'm not sure I understand that one.
Like
Oh,
Oh, okay.
that's what I'm thinking.
you're thinking that as a coin.
Yeah, I'm remembering from Pirates of the Caribbean how he did that with a coin. That was what I was thinking, but I was trying to figure out if there
There
had
was
been
a portion
a
of time where he's leaning forward, and you can, because the mics are set up this way, you can hear the clinking of whatever he's doing under the podium. So that might be what this is.
or maybe like when you have a hand on a on a table.
Or
Is that?
maybe this is a reference to the final recording, the tape, where she's yelling, "Don't cut yourself."
Yeah. So maybe he's doing that on the table.
He's doing the alien, yeah, he's doing the.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think we sussed it out. I think we
Okay,
sussed it
good. Okay.
There we go.
like that was odd audio. He looked visibly very upset during that audio.
He did. He took a tissue.
Yeah, she also looked upset during that audio. I don't know. I can't read her face very well, and I was trying to. They both looked upset during that audio, and I just wonder if it's because it sounded set up to him, because it was such a dark moment to him, if he was really not going to hurt himself, and she was like, stop. But if you thought that this was someone who would do that, again,
Why would you give them a sharper knife?
why would you give them a knife and give them a sharper knife?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think one of the problems that they have with that audio is she's speaking directly into wherever she's recording, and one of the last things we heard Johnny say was this kind of Fatal Attraction suspense thriller movie moment of she's yelling into the phone saying, whatever it was, stop hitting me, from 20 yards away. So when she comes across so clearly and you can't hear him at all, you're like, hey, well, it does sound a little, ADR.
Yeah. Alyssa Mappin says, WTF was that smirk from Amber when she said, she was, it cut back to her.
Regarding the discovery issues, they still haven't seen that resolved, and they might get a jury instruction. And if they get that jury instruction, it can be very up on the stand saying things like, is there metadata? What date's it from? He's very well aware that they didn't get what they were supposed to get.
Yes.
Okay, so you mean the instruction itself is not damaging, but user.
The instruction is damaging. The instruction is that generally it's along the lines of, you know, this party did not turn over discovery that can be detrimental or prejudicial to the other party. The jury's instructed to take into consideration that not all of the discovery was turned over.
And absolutely. Do you, in your experience, and you know, I think some of y'all worked more in trial than I have. That how seriously do juries follow instructions?
It depends on the jury makeup, but
Yeah.
if there's something that they feel's unfair, it only takes one juror to latch on to something and feel strongly about it to ride that to the bank and just be like, this is what we're doing.
That's a good point.
If a jury feels like one side's hiding the ball and then you get an instruction like that, it can turn the tide in the jury room. I've gotten back jury instructions where the jurors have marked them up with highlighter and pen and pencil to try to parse out what they were talking about. I've seen them break down the instructions of a crime on whiteboards to try to figure out what we're doing. And we've heard that from the jury in the Maxwell case, that they asked for Post-it notes and pens and highlighters so that they could parse through those jury instructions, and they all wanted their own copy and even asked to take them home. They use that as their roadmap to decide these cases. So they go through everything in there pretty thoroughly, unless they have a strong feeling one way or the other and they don't even read them and they vote first and they're done in 20 minutes. This is not going to be like that.
No, this is going to be one that they'll talk about for at least a few days, I think.
At least.
Yeah.
If not more. I mean, the jury instructions alone are going to take them a day to get through.
Yeah.
And then
Rex
they're
Lawrence.
going to
Yeah. Rex Lawrence says, so today's seemingly incompetent cross was just a setup to play what they thought was the highlight of their case at 5 o'clock before the 3 days off.
The cutting audio?
Could be. I mean, it's at the very least to put that in their brains for 3 days for them to think about that. I don't know, but
If that were the highlight of their case, I'd come right back around to it. I don't even know what that recording does.
It shows that he's more likely to hurt himself than her, is what it does.
Yeah, and that she's not concerned about herself around him with a sharp object. She's concerned about him hurting him.
But Emily and Alita, that's the opposite of a game-winning song.
Oh no, we're playing with the
For
cell
her,
phone.
yeah.
We're still on the cell phone. I think that's where we're at with this case. I don't think they see it. I think they're so dug in that they can't see around themselves, and they're very dug into fighting for their client. That's the only way you get someone in opening statements holding up something that actually didn't exist and saying, this proves that she is abused.
Yeah.
They're just they're too dug in.
Is that the compact we're talking about with that announcement? The opening statement one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
I see. Okay. I see why it's such a big deal then. I well, look.
Yes.
I'm like,
So,
okay,
so
we're
to
talking about-
clarify, what they have done is now set themselves up to be nuked on a massive scale, because what they can do is Johnny's team ostensibly can I mean, well, I don't know about this now. You know, what are the evidentiary rules on this?
Impeachment. They don't have to turn over impeachment.
There
So
you
if
go.
get somebody from Milani to show up and we never
You
know.
can easily get the business records from Milani that shows it to use as impeachment.
Oh
And
my
then-
God,
Yeah.
that is so brilliant.
And I
And
mentioned
then
that
you've got it right there in your
before.
closing argument to say they held up on day one. They held up for you a compact that they said she used in 2015, in 2014, in 2013 to cover up these bruises so that the world wouldn't see. You want to know when that compact was first created? 2017. They are, and they don't have six, but they are lying to you. Like that's like what the image is.
If you lied about the audio on the plane, if you lied about the palette in the opening statement,